Chosen one. There is a quiet pain you've been carrying that few people can see. You believe you were created for more, yet your reality feels smaller than the calling in your spirit. You work, you wait, you pray, and still the breakthrough seems delayed. You've wondered in silence, if God is serious about my destiny, why does my life look like this right now? That confusion, that pressure, that sense of being overlooked, it is not proof that you are forgotten. It is evidence that you are being taught. Chosen one, you are not watching this by accident. This moment is a divine appointment orchestrated by heaven with precision. God is serious about teaching you a billionaire lesson, not about money first, but about mindset, stewardship, and purpose. By the time this message is complete, clarity will replace confusion. You will understand why the delay existed, what God has been shaping inside you, and how wealth elevation and supernatural transfer are meant to find you. As it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision waits for an appointed time, but it will not fail. Anointed one, you are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift. Stay with this word. Subscribe now so you don't miss what heaven is releasing next, and comment 777 as a sign that you know you are chosen. Make a decision right now to watch this video to the end and discover why God has never abandoned you, not for one moment. Chosen one, listen carefully. What you are about to hear is not about fast cars, private jets, or the fantasy people attached to wealth. Heaven is not impressed by the symbols. God is concerned with the assignment. There is a reason your soul has never been satisfied with surface-level success. And there is a reason that even when you imagine having more, something in you still asks, is that all? That question is not rebellion, it is recognition. It is the spirit inside you realizing that money was never meant to be your destination, it was meant to be a consequence. Anointed one. Many people think the lesson of billionaires begins after the money arrives, but heaven teaches the lesson long before the resources show up. What happens after the cars, the yachts, the freedom, that is the real test. Because once comfort is no longer the motivator, only calling remains. This is why God has been stripping false desires from you. This is why some dreams you thought you wanted quietly died. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. There are people who chase wealth because they want to escape their life. But those chosen for elevation are taught to expand life instead. That is the difference. Visionaries don't wake up asking how to get rich. They wake up asking what could be possible. They imagine futures others are too tired or too wounded to see, and often they are misunderstood for it. If you've ever been called unrealistic, extreme, or too much, you are not broken. You are early. Chosen one. Let me ground this in something real. I've known what it's like to work hard and still feel unseen. To carry ideas that feel heavy because no one around you knows what to do with them. To share a glimpse of your vision and watch people either dismiss it or try to shrink it so they can understand it. That loneliness is not accidental. God often isolates before he elevates because noise contaminates clarity, and clarity is expensive. Look at the pattern. The ones entrusted with the most influence are not the most distracted. They are disciplined. They are focused. They are willing to sit with questions longer than most people can tolerate. They don't rush answers. They don't rush rewards. And heaven watches how you handle the waiting, because waiting reveals whether you worship the promise or the promiser. Anointed one. There is a reason God has not rushed you into abundance. If wealth had arrived before wisdom, it would have become a distraction. If recognition had come before identity was rooted, it would have destroyed you. Scripture reminds us that promotion does not come from the east or the west, but from God alone. That means timing is not random. Delay is not denial. It is alignment. Some of you have felt a strange tension lately. You are grateful for what you have, but restless in your spirit. You are faithful, yet hungry. You are disciplined, yet aware that something bigger is forming. That tension is the evidence of growth. It is what happens when your current environment can no longer contain who you are becoming. God is expanding your capacity before He expands your territory. Chosen one, let me say this gently and clearly: heaven does not entrust resources to people who need them to feel whole. Heaven entrusts resources to people who are already anchored. This is why God has been teaching you contentment without complacency, peace without passivity, faith without fantasy. He is shaping you into someone who can hold wealth without worshipping it, influence without losing humility, and power without losing compassion. Think about this in everyday terms. When a person has never carried responsibility, even a small blessing feels overwhelming. But when someone has learned discipline, stewardship, and restraint, even massive responsibility becomes manageable. God is not slow. He is precise. He knows exactly how much weight your soul can carry, and He increases it gradually so you don't collapse under the blessing. Anointed one. The people who change the world are not obsessed with outcomes. They are obsessed with problems. They see gaps others ignore. They feel burdens others avoid. And that burden you feel, the one you can't quite explain, is not anxiety. It is assignment. You were not designed to merely consume. You were designed to contribute. And contribution always precedes compensation in the kingdom. This is where many people fall away. They want the reward without the responsibility. They want the fruit without tending the ground. But you are still here, still listening, still searching. That alone tells me something about you. It tells me God has already been teaching you even when you didn't realize it. Every setback refined you. Every disappointment clarified you. Every closed door redirected you. Chosen one, hear this as a confirmation: you are not late. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are in training. And training often feels like obscurity, repetition, and silence. But silence is where discernment is sharpened. Obscurity is where motives are purified. Repetition is where mastery is formed. If wealth were the lesson, God could have taught it quickly. But this is a billionaire lesson of the Spirit. It is about scale, about stewardship, about serving something bigger than your ego. And when this lesson is complete, what comes next will not need to be forced. It will arrive with authority, alignment, and peace. Chosen one, stay here, stay present. Let this word settle, because what God is building in you right now cannot be rushed, and it cannot be replicated. Chosen one. There is another layer to this lesson that heaven has been quietly pressing into your life, and it often shows up in a way that feels uncomfortable. It is the lesson of vision without applause. Many people assume that when God is preparing someone for elevation, everything around them should start affirming it. But more often than not, the opposite happens. Silence increases, support thins out, and the path ahead looks strangely lonely. That loneliness is not rejection, it is filtration. Anointed one, notice how often the people called to carry great impact walk paths that others would never choose. Not because they enjoy hardship, but because their assignment demands focus. God removes excess noise because clarity cannot survive constant validation seeking. When you no longer need everyone to understand you, you are finally ready to move with authority. And that is something heaven takes very seriously. There is a false belief that wealth, success, or elevation should automatically bring satisfaction. But what you are learning now is deeper. You are learning that satisfaction comes from alignment, not accumulation. This is why God has been teaching you to ask better questions. Not, how do I escape this season? But but who am I becoming in this season? That shift alone separates the chosen from the crowd. Let me speak honestly for a moment. There were times in my own life when I thought delay meant failure. When doors closed, I assumed I had missed something or misunderstood God. But looking back, I can see that what felt like stagnation was actually refinement. I was being taught how to sit with uncertainty without losing faith, how to move forward without guarantees, how to obey without immediate reward. Those lessons were far more valuable than anything money could have bought me at that time. Chosen One, heaven watches how you respond when progress is slow. Not because God is testing your patience in a cruel way, but because pace reveals priorities. When someone is rushing, it usually means they are chasing relief, not purpose. But when someone can move steadily, faithfully, even when the outcome is unclear, it shows maturity. And maturity is the currency God looks for before releasing greater responsibility. You may have noticed that your desires have changed. Things that once excited you now feel hollow. Goals that used to motivate you no longer carry the same weight. This is not burnout. This is awakening. God is recalibrating your hunger. He is shifting you from craving results to craving meaning. And that transition can feel confusing if you don't understand what is happening. Anointed One. Many people never reach this stage because they settle too early. They take the first version of success offered to them and build their identity around it. But you were not designed for the first offer. You were designed for something that requires depth, endurance, and vision. That is why shortcuts never felt right to you. That is why quick wins often left you uneasy. Your spirit knows when something is beneath your calling. There is also a lesson here about responsibility. Wealth in the kingdom is never detached from stewardship. God does not bless carelessness. He blesses readiness. And readiness is revealed in the small things long before the big things appear. How you manage your time, how you treat people when you have nothing to gain, how you handle disappointment without becoming bitter. These moments are not insignificant. They are the classroom. Chosen One, you are being taught how to hold weight, emotional weight, mental weight, spiritual weight, because influence without capacity is dangerous. Money without grounding magnifies insecurity. Visibility without identity creates performance. God loves you too much to release you prematurely, so He teaches you to stand firm when things are quiet, to remain disciplined when no one is watching, to keep your integrity intact when compromise would be easier. I know there are days when you wonder if anyone sees your effort, when you feel like you are doing the right things but not seeing the right results. Hear this clearly: heaven sees you, and more importantly, heaven is shaping you. What feels repetitive is actually building consistency. What feels mundane is developing endurance, and what feels unseen is strengthening your inner life. Anointed One, the people who truly change the world do not live for applause. They live from conviction. They are anchored by something deeper than trends, opinions, or external validation. That anchoring is what allows them to take risks without recklessness, to dream without delusion, and to build without burnout. This is why God has been teaching you to listen inwardly more than outwardly. Your discernment is being sharpened. There is also a sobering truth you are learning: not everyone can go with you. Some relationships fade, not because of conflict, but because of divergence. Your values shift, your focus narrows, your tolerance for distraction decreases. This can feel like loss, but it is actually alignment. God removes what no longer fits where He is taking you, and He does it gently, even when it hurts. Chosen One. This lesson is not about becoming cold or detached. It is about becoming clear. Clear about who you are, clear about what matters, clear about what you are willing to carry. When clarity settles in, peace follows. And when peace governs your decisions, acceleration becomes safe. There is a reason Scripture speaks of wisdom as something more precious than gold, because wisdom allows you to sustain what gold can bring. Without wisdom, abundance becomes chaos. Without wisdom, opportunity becomes pressure. God is ensuring that when your season shifts, you will not lose yourself in it. So if you are in a place where things feel quiet, slow, or unresolved, do not despise it. This is where foundations are laid. This is where motives are purified. This is where your character is strengthened beyond what public success could ever teach you. You are learning to stand without leaning on outcomes, to trust without visible proof, to move forward without fear. Chosen one, remain faithful here, not because this season will last forever, but because what it produces in you will. And when the door opens, and it will, you will walk through it, not as someone desperate for validation, but as someone prepared to steward what heaven places in your hands. Chosen one. There is a deeper truth God is revealing to you now, and it touches the part of your life that has felt the most misunderstood. You have been learning what it means to carry vision that outgrows your current environment. This is one of the most uncomfortable stages of calling, because your spirit begins to move faster than your circumstances. You see further than the people around you. You sense possibilities others dismiss. And instead of being celebrated for it, you often feel restrained by it. Anointed one. This tension is not a sign you are misaligned. It is the sign that growth has already begun internally, even if nothing external has shifted yet. God always expands the inner world before he enlarges the outer one. If he reversed the order, the blessing would crush the vessel. So he stretches your thinking, your faith, and your emotional capacity first. That stretching can feel like pressure, but pressure is what prepares strength. There is a reason the ideas stirring in you feel bigger than what you can currently execute. God allows vision to arrive early so you learn dependence, not control. When vision arrives without immediate provision, it forces humility. It teaches you to wait without losing hope, to plan without panic, to trust without seeing. This is why many people abandon their calling, not because the vision was wrong, but because the waiting exposed impatience. Chosen one. I want to speak plainly here. Not every delay is spiritual warfare. Sometimes delay is simply wisdom. God is not withholding from you. He is aligning, timing people and conditions so that what he releases will endure. You have been spared from opportunities that looked attractive but would have diverted you from your true assignment. What felt like rejection was actually protection. There were moments in my own journey where I wanted God to move faster, to explain more, to reassure me constantly, but he didn't. Instead, he taught me how to sit with unanswered questions without losing trust. That training mattered more than I knew at the time, because when clarity finally came, I didn't need external validation to believe it. I had already learned how to listen. Anointed one. The world celebrates speed, but heaven honors depth. Fast growth without roots produces fragile success. God is not impressed by how quickly something starts if it cannot stand when storms come. This is why your progress may look slow to others. But slow does not mean stagnant. It means intentional. You are also learning discernment, the ability to recognize what is aligned and what is merely available. Not every opportunity is assignment. Not every open door is meant to be entered. Wealth-minded people learn this the hard way. Chosen ones are taught this before abundance arrives. God trains you to say no without fear, to wait without anxiety, and to move without rushing. There is another lesson embedded here: identity before influence. If your sense of worth depends on outcomes, visibility will destabilize you. God is grounding your identity so deeply in Him that when recognition comes, it won't redefine you. When resources come, they won't replace Him. When responsibility comes, it won't overwhelm you. That grounding is priceless. Chosen one, pay attention to how your inner dialogue has changed. You no longer chase approval the way you once did. You question narratives that used to control you. You are less reactive, more reflective. That is not coincidence. That is maturity forming. And maturity is what allows wealth to become a tool instead of a trap. There are people who accumulate money but never feel secure. There are people who achieve success but remain anxious. That happens when internal stability is missing. God is ensuring that you develop stability first. Peace that does not depend on circumstances. Confidence that does not require comparison. Faith that does not collapse under pressure. Anointed one, this season is also teaching you about service. Not service as self-neglect, but service as purpose. The most impactful people are not driven by ego. They are driven by contribution. They see problems as invitations, not inconveniences. They recognize that provision flows toward purpose. This is why God has been sensitizing you to issues beyond yourself. You feel drawn to solutions, not spotlight. It may surprise you, but many people who reach financial success eventually realize they were chasing the wrong thing. They have resources, but lack meaning. You are being spared from that emptiness. God is wiring you to value meaning first, so that when resources come, they amplify your purpose instead of exposing a void. Chosen one, I know there are nights when you wonder if all this preparation will actually lead somewhere. When the weight of responsibility feels heavy and the path ahead unclear. Let me reassure you, nothing God teaches you is wasted. Every lesson compounds. Every season builds on the last. Even the parts you don't understand yet will make sense in time. You are also learning resilience. Not the loud, aggressive kind, but the quiet kind that keeps showing up. The kind that remains faithful when motivation fades. The kind that trusts God's character when His plan is unclear. That resilience is what separates those who endure from those who burn out. Anointed one, there is something sacred about consistency, about choosing to do the right thing when no one is applauding, about stewarding small responsibilities with excellence. God watches those moments closely, because faithfulness in obscurity reveals readiness for visibility. You are being trained to handle influence without losing compassion, to hold authority without becoming hardened, to steward wealth without becoming detached. These are not skills learned overnight. They are formed through lived experience, reflection, and surrender. Chosen one, do not minimize what this season is doing for you. It is shaping your discernment, refining your motives, and strengthening your spirit. You are becoming someone who can be trusted with more, not just materially, but relationally, spiritually, and emotionally. Remain anchored, remain teachable, remain present. You are not waiting for your life to begin. Your life is already unfolding, lesson by lesson, layer by layer. And what God is building in you right now will sustain you when everything changes. Chosen one. There is a sacred recalibration happening in your life right now, even if you can't fully articulate it yet. God is teaching you how to relate to power without being controlled by it. This is a subtle lesson, and many people never learn it. They assume power changes them only after it arrives. But the truth is, power reveals who you already are. That is why God prepares the heart before He increases the reach. Anointed one, you have been learning restraint. Not because you lack ambition, but because unchecked ambition can quietly become anxiety. God has been slowing you down in moments where your natural ability could have taken over. You could have forced outcomes. You could have compromised values. You could have taken shortcuts that looked harmless. But something in you resisted. That resistance is not weakness. It is discernment growing. There is a reason Scripture speaks of meekness as strength under control. Meekness is not passivity. It is power that knows when to move and when to wait. You are being taught that timing matters as much as action. That silence can be more strategic than speech. That stillness can be more productive than constant motion. These lessons feel counterintuitive in a world that celebrates urgency, but they are essential in the kingdom. Chosen one, let's talk about fear for a moment. Not the loud kind, but the quiet kind that whispers, "What if this never happens? What if I've misread everything?" God is not offended by those thoughts. He uses them to expose where your trust still needs to deepen. Faith is not the absence of questions. It is the decision to keep moving forward despite them. I remember seasons where I thought clarity would come all at once, a moment of certainty that erased doubt forever. But that's not how God works. He gives enough light for the next step, not the entire journey. That keeps you dependent. That keeps you listening. That keeps your heart soft. And a soft heart is something God guards fiercely in those He intends to elevate. Anointed one, another layer of this billionaire lesson is learning how to hold tension without collapsing. Tension between faith and reality, between vision and limitation, between promise and process. Most people try to escape tension as quickly as possible. They numb it, distract from it, or spiritualize it away. But you are being trained to live inside it with grace, because tension builds strength. You may have noticed that God no longer answers every prayer the way He once did. Some requests that would have been granted immediately in earlier seasons now seem to linger. This is not because God has changed. It is because you have. He is inviting you into partnership, not dependency. He is teaching you to discern His will, not just request His intervention. Chosen one, wealth in its highest form is not possession, it is capacity. The capacity to influence without manipulation, to bless without control, to lead without domination. God is increasing your capacity slowly, deliberately. He knows exactly how much expansion your soul can handle at each stage, and He will not rush it, no matter how eager you are. There is also a lesson here about humility. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. As your calling becomes clearer, God redirects your focus outward. You become less obsessed with proving yourself and more committed to serving something meaningful. That shift is critical, because self-focus shrinks vision, but service expands it. Anointed one, you may have felt moments where you questioned whether you still fit in places that once felt familiar. Conversations that used to excite you now feel shallow. Environments that once energized you now drain you. This is not arrogance, it is alignment changing. God is repositioning you emotionally and mentally before He repositions you externally. There is grief in that process. Grief for old versions of yourself. Grief for relationships that can't come with you. Grief for timelines you expected but didn't receive. Allow yourself to feel it. Grief does not mean you lack faith. It means you are human, and God meets you there not with condemnation, but with comfort. Chosen one, hear this clearly. You are not behind. You are being taught sustainability. Many people rise quickly and fall just as fast because they were never taught how to sustain growth. God is ensuring that when your season shifts, it will not be temporary. What He builds through patience lasts longer than what is built through pressure. You are also learning self-governance, the ability to manage your thoughts, emotions, and reactions without constant external regulation. This matters more than you know. Influence magnifies whatever is already present. If insecurity is unresolved, it will grow. If peace is established, it will spread. God is helping you establish peace now. Anointed One, the lesson of discipline has been quietly shaping your days. Not rigid discipline, but intentional living. You are more aware of how you spend your time, more selective about what you consume, more protective of your energy. These are not random changes. They are signs that your inner life is maturing. You are becoming someone who can be trusted with freedom. Freedom without structure leads to chaos, but freedom paired with wisdom leads to creativity, generosity, and impact. God is teaching you to steward freedom before He increases it. Chosen One, there will always be voices that misunderstand your pace, your priorities, or your silence. You don't need to correct them. Explanation is not required for obedience. When God is your reference point, external opinions lose their power. That is a form of liberation many never experience. Let this settle into your spirit. The lesson is not making you smaller. It is making you deeper. Not slower, but steadier. Not hesitant, but discerning. You are being shaped into someone who can carry weight without breaking influence, without arrogance and wealth, without losing intimacy with God. Remain surrendered. Not because you are powerless, but because you are aligned. What God is teaching you now is preparing you to walk into rooms you haven't even imagined yet, with peace, clarity, and authority that cannot be shaken. Chosen One, as this lesson comes to fullness, God is teaching you something that reshapes how you see success entirely. He is revealing the difference between achievement that impresses people and impact that moves heaven. Many chase the first and never experience the second. You are being trained for the latter. That is why your journey has felt heavier, slower, and more intentional than those around you. Anointed One, there comes a moment when God stops measuring your growth by what you can produce and starts measuring it by what you can carry without losing yourself. Carry disappointment without bitterness. Carry responsibility without pride. Carry opportunity without panic. This is the final layer of this billionaire lesson, not accumulation, but stewardship of influence, peace, and purpose. You may have noticed that your prayers are changing. You ask less for escape and more for wisdom, less for speed and more for alignment. That shift did not come from discipline alone. It came from transformation. God has been teaching you to value wholeness over haste, because what arrives too early often leaves too quickly. Chosen One, the world glorifies overnight success, but heaven honors prepared vessels. Prepared people don't need to announce themselves. Their presence speaks. Their decisions carry weight. Their peace is not fragile. You are becoming that kind of person, the kind who doesn't need to prove they are chosen, because the fruit eventually speaks for itself. Let me speak to the quiet fear. Some of you still carry the fear of missing your moment. Hear this clearly: destiny cannot miss you. What is meant for you will recognize you when the time comes. God does not require perfect performance. He requires faithful positioning. And you have stayed positioned even when it was uncomfortable. Anointed One, wealth in the kingdom flows toward those who understand why they want it. Not for status, not for comparison, but for assignment. God has been refining your motives so deeply that when provision comes, it will not corrupt your clarity. You will know exactly what it is for and what it is not for. There is also a deep lesson here about rest. True rest is not inactivity, it is trust. You are learning to rest without disengaging, to pause, without quitting, to breathe, without abandoning vision. This kind of rest is powerful because it keeps you from burning out when momentum increases. God is teaching you to move from a place of overflow, not exhaustion. Chosen one. Some of you have felt a quiet confidence replacing the old urgency. You still care deeply, but you no longer feel desperate. That is maturity. Desperation attracts shortcuts. Confidence attracts clarity. God is establishing you in confidence so that when doors open, you walk through them with discernment, not frenzy. There will come a time when people ask how you did it. They will assume it was strategy alone, or luck, or timing. They won't see the nights of surrender, the seasons of silence, the internal battles you won when no one was watching. That's okay. Heaven saw, and heaven remembers. Anointed one. The greatest wealth God gives is not money, it is trust. When God trusts someone, He allows them to influence outcomes beyond their own life. He allows their decisions to bless others. He allows their obedience to unlock provision for communities, families, and futures. That level of trust is earned through faithfulness in obscurity. You are also learning legacy thinking, not just what you can build, but what you leave behind. Not just what benefits you, but what outlives you. This is why shallow goals no longer satisfy you. You are wired for something that matters beyond the moment. God is expanding your vision beyond personal gain into generational impact. Chosen one. I want you to notice something important. You did not arrive here by accident. Every lesson connected. Every delay served a purpose. Every season prepared you for the next. Nothing was wasted. Even the pain had a role, especially the pain. Pain refined your empathy. It taught you how to lead with compassion, not control. There is a sacred humility forming in you, not the kind that shrinks, but the kind that steadies. You know your value, but you don't need to announce it. You know your calling, but you don't need to rush it. You know your direction, but you remain teachable. That posture is rare, and it is powerful. Anointed one, wealth will not change who you are, it will amplify who you've become. Influence will not redefine you, it will reveal you. And because God has taken time with you, what is revealed will be grounded, wise, and generous. This is why heaven has been serious about teaching you this lesson. The stakes were too high to rush. If you are still here, still listening, still open, let that be your confirmation. You have not been disqualified by struggle. You have not been delayed by mistake. You have been prepared by intention. God has been forming you quietly, carefully, and faithfully. Chosen one, carry this truth with you. The lesson was never meant to limit you. It was meant to protect you. It was meant to shape you into someone who can walk into abundance without losing peace, into influence without losing humility, into provision without losing purpose. Remain anchored, remain faithful, remain surrendered. What God has taught you will sustain you long after the breakthrough arrives. And when it does, you will recognize it not as a surprise, but as the natural outcome of everything heaven has been building within you. Chosen one, as this word comes to rest upon your spirit, receive this truth with reverence. You have not been shaped for lack, and you have not been prepared in vain. What heaven has been teaching you was never merely about wealth, but about the wisdom, restraint, and depth required to carry it without losing your soul. The lesson is complete, and the season is turning. Anointed one, a supernatural transfer is already in motion. You are standing in your exact Kairos moment, the appointed time where preparation meets release. What has been forming quietly will soon manifest visibly. What was delayed for your protection is now aligning for your promotion. As it is written, the vision waits for its appointed time, and now that time is near. Remain faithful, stay aligned. Walk forward with gratitude, not anxiety. You do not have to chase what is already assigned to you. Heaven knows your name, your obedience, and your endurance. Blessings are unfolding in ways you may not yet see, but your spirit already recognizes them. Chosen one. If this word has confirmed what God has been whispering to you, honor this moment. You may quietly subscribe, share, or comment 777 as a seal of faith, not to declare ambition, but to acknowledge alignment. Go in peace, go in confidence. What God has begun, He is faithful to complete.